to see the scale of what we're doing today versus what we were, it feels good.
Yeah.
And also sometimes I have to pinch myself, like how many gigawatts of solar are going in every day across the country. It's a great story. I have to tell the whole story because there was a low to that story, just like there is with most journeys. And I'm not going to say we're at a high. I think we can go higher, but I'm definitely enjoying the moment.
The entrepreneurial journey is always at the heart of our SunCast interviews. And today's interview is one that I've wanted to do for literally a decade. I have the distinct pleasure of inviting an old friend who has a tremendous and rich history in the solar industry. If you're new to SunCast, we do try to get as deep into the entrepreneurial journey as we can while still helping you craft your personal narrative, your legacy, and leave your mark in the solar, the clean energy, and climate tech sector. Thank you for taking the only non-renewable resource you've got, your time, and investing it here. I promise you will get a solid return on that investment. If you're new to SunCast, we are here each and every week, twice a week, with stories like this, with leaders on the front lines of the clean energy transition so that you can do your job better. There's over 800 episodes for you to dig into, so make sure you subscribe to the show. But wait, let me earn that right with what you're about to hear on this episode of SunCast. Jonathan, I am not exaggerating when I say it's been a decade in the making. Thank you for taking time to be here on SunCast.
It's an honor. Thanks for having me.
Man, it seems like yesterday, doesn't it?
It does.
We were doing a job walk in Monterey, California.
York School.
On
the rooftop. I remember very clearly.
My goodness, your career has evolved. We're going to talk, I hope, at length in the time that you've allowed me. I rarely have such a tight window that I have to nail doing an interview. But the good news is I have a great muse. Your career is one that I think is just like it's riddled with good stories. And I hope that we can get those out in this conversation. What do most people get wrong about the utility scale market and the way these projects are actually sold?
Every industry evolves over time. And it's interesting how our industry as a whole, it went from, there was a leader in the space for a long time. It was Powerlight, it was SunPower.
Yeah.
And they had to do everything. They had to go fully integrated because no one could do what they did.
That's
like
right.
they were forced to kind of take on all scopes. It was kind of like early days of PCs. We're going to do everything.
Yeah.
Over time, everyone got really good. Sort of all got unbundled and people got really good at each layer within that system. But now you're kind of seeing that there's a demand for people to bring everything back together and make sure all those layered systems work together seamlessly. And that's kind of like what Apple did. Apple took the software, the hardware, they made it a combined hardware software experience.
Yeah.
But there was a period there where, I don't know if you remember, people were building their own computers. They were buying hard drives. It was a mess.
Yeah.
I think what people get wrong is that we are at a point within the space, there's been so much growth and so much demand. People are looking for more integrated systems because it's not so much about cost. It's about how well these systems produce energy and how well they service, the regions that they're in. There's a major underperformance issue in our industry.
Yeah.
Like systems are not performing to the level that they need to.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's what people get wrong is that, we're ready to take system optimization to the next level.
Right.
And that's the big opportunity.
I remember well when I met with, I got this concept in my mind that you just triggered, Michael Channon at Cherry Street. He's doing a whole lot of like rooftop DG stuff. And he's the first person that I asked this question. I said, what does it mean to create a Cherry Street energy system? Because he had used this term. And it ties exactly to what you're saying. He says nobody goes to Boeing and asks for parts. They ask for a Boeing 747 because they trust that Boeing is going to bring the right parts together.
Yeah.
And American Airlines doesn't care about being the smartest at building a plane.
Yeah.
They care about delivering customers safely to their destination, right?
No, absolutely. And today the equivalent is, Intersect is the operator. They're the United Airlines,
right?
And we're the Boeing. We're creating that integrated solution. They just want to be able to take our solution and make sure that it performs at the optimum level.
I think that, this is literally like we've never talked about this together. And so I feel like it's like magic because the things that I'm hearing in the marketplace actually do support what you're saying. And I almost never get a chance to just chat with somebody who has visibility and access to so many deals globally. So it's for me, validates a lot of what I'm assuming, and I think probably a lot of listeners are assuming as well.
Trackers it's a unique viewport into the industry because you see every project.
Yeah.
It's highly customized to every application. We pretty much see everything that's out there. So yeah, it's a unique perspective. And there's a lot of value to that. It's something I tell my sales team all the time. I say, look, you're kind of seeing the entire landscape, and that's rare.
True.
Module vendors, they don't always see the landscape. Inverter vendors, they may not know where it's going to go until it's being delivered. We see everything. We customize to every project.
Let's talk about that. Product companies, product engineering companies specifically, they operate very differently. Like no two companies seem to operate the same in this industry. There's a particular part of Nextracker's DNA that you refer to as that is the feedback loop, but I think you may even have some like lingo internally. Can you share how that customer first sales approach has informed the design and engineering of the Nextracker products?
Yeah. I mean, as a company, we're here to solve problems. You don't always know what the problem is unless you go out and engage your customer base and actively get feedback. What are you seeing in the field? What are the challenges?
Yeah.
So it's really important to have that conversation. It's not about selling. It's really about solving a problem and listening to your customers. And when they see that you've addressed their issue with a product or a layer of software or something like that, it's incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
And they continue to come back because they know we're going to innovate. We're going to continue to, expand the type of scope of services we're going to offer because we take things very seriously and we want these systems to perform at the highest level.
Yeah. I remember the first time you told me about this feedback loop. I, having been in sales and business development, have in my mind what I think it looks like for you to have a feedback loop that your sales team intuitively understands. But walk me a little further down the path. What does it look like if I'm a customer of Nextracker to be involved in that sales loop?
There's a couple examples I can give. I mean, the most recent one, there's a couple I can provide, but the most recent one is, so EPCs, these sites are getting really big. And it's a really complex logistics issue. You know what I mean? Like, how do you get everything to the right location? So we developed a whole transportation management system at Nextracker to support our customers. And this allows the teams on site to know where all the material is in transit, when they're going to get it, when they're going to have enough material to install a block.
Makes sense.
So it's a lot of and that was something they asked for. They said, look, you need to enable us, in the field. It's not just about your product. You can deliver your product, but now we have these sites that are hundreds of acres, thousands of acres sometimes. How do I get stuff into the site efficiently? Enable me. That's always the question. Like we want you to enable us. You're a technology company. You innovate. So further enable us. And we've listened. And again, a lot of it is a close collaboration with, we call them power users at the customer, right? Like you put it in their hands and say, hey, is this serving the purpose that you're looking for it to serve?
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, let's listen to you and make adjustments.
Yeah.
And that's just part of the process for us.
Yeah.
So that's one example.
I want you to tell the story of Hail Pro because I think it's actually one of the great examples of how the industry is benefiting from work that came from that customer listening experience.
Yeah. I mean, this was a big one. I mean, hail is a big issue. We had a customer come to us and they had pretty much catastrophic damage on a project.
Yeah.
And effectively they're like, look, I have a big problem. Right. And it was a moment from the industry where Texas, which is one of the biggest markets for solar, a lot of projects are in hail areas.
Yeah.
And again, the insurance community is like, whoa, this is a big issue.
Oh, yeah.
Insurance used to be an afterthought in solar.
Yeah.
Build your project, you go out, you get insurance. And now it's coming to the forefront where effectively the developer of the project needs to sponsor and say, hey, look, if there's catastrophic damage in excess of our insurance coverage, I'm on the hook for that.
Right.
So it was really these owners coming to us saying, hey, we have a problem. Can you help us solve it?
Yeah.
And it was a combination of hardware and software, coming up with the software being more of like the automation piece, like automating stow, setting weather service integration so they know when hail's approaching the site. Like a lot of just technology deployment to further enable owners to build confidence with the underwriters that they can protect their assets.
Yeah.
And if you can't protect your assets, you probably can't get insurance.
Yeah.
So imagine you have a site, you have thousands of trackers, you have hundreds of thousands of modules. Mm-hmm. I mean, you want to get it to the protected position as quickly as possible. So stow is going into a high angle position.
Yeah. Okay.
As quickly as you can.
Yeah.
So you want to be able to send a signal to all those trackers and go from a standard tracking position, middle of the day, this stuff's tracking throughout the day, and you want to go to the highest degree angle as quickly as possible.
Yes.
And we can do that in a couple minutes. We also came out with our standard tracking range of motion is 60 to 60.
Yeah.
Well, physics is physics. The higher you tilt
Yes.
the modules, the less impact there's going to be from hail.
That
So we
makes
came
sense.
out with a Hail Pro 75, so we can go to even higher angle. It almost looks like,
Vertical.
90 degrees when you see it in the field.
Yeah.
So that means that the module is now not hitting not hitting the panel.
Yeah.
It may be hitting the
exposing the frame.
And the frame obviously has a protective outer,
Right.
outer layer. So it's minimizing that damage or the potential for that damage from hail significantly. And there's lots of data to support that. When you look at a power plant, you think about, I have an asset that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Panels make up, a majority of that, or I
Right.
would say more than 50% of the cost. So if you have an event, let's say you have 30, 40% damage, you have to replace $30 to $40 million of panels on a $100 million plant. I mean, it's just huge. And so the insurance community, when they saw the risk profile, they essentially capped their coverage. They're like, look, I can only take this much risk. And then they syndicated that across many other underwriters.
Yeah.
What we're trying to do is say, look, yeah, you have that risk still, but for a while you couldn't get insurance. And now if the damage, we're basically not exceeding the limit of what that insurance would be by putting it into this high tilt angle position. So you're just, as the sponsor of the project, you're minimizing their exposure above what the insurance will cover and enabling them to get insurance. And in some cases, there have been examples of deductibles going down. We released a white paper by Kilowatt Hour Analytics released a white paper saying, hey, with this Hailstow technology, with the hardware and the software, we were able to reduce the deductible. So you're starting to see people consider the technology as a part of the underwriting process to help them secure insurance or get better deductibles.
You manage a team of, I know it's more than 50, like 60 or 70 people now. What's something that you're particularly proud of around how your sales team operates that most people from the outside looking in wouldn't be aware of?
I mean, I would say my crowning achievement is hiring and building teams that have all been able to progress upwards and become leaders. So like we hired, I don't know how many analysts over the last 5 or 6 years, and now those analysts are leading their own teams.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I go into some of these meetings and they're basically leading the meeting. They're driving the sales discussion. They're driving the account management.
Yeah.
And I'm there to sponsor and support, but they're doing a lot of the day-to-day stuff with these accounts. And these are big accounts. We're doing hundreds of millions of dollars with these accounts. But it's all been a culture of promote from within, give people the opportunity to advance their careers. And I've been so proud to see people take that opportunity. Some people haven't. I'm always sort of disappointed. I'm like, look, this is an amazing culture, an amazing company. There's so much opportunity. I say that on a regular basis. Go take it.
Yeah.
Like go grab the opportunity to make something of it. Because honestly, there's not as many companies that offer this much opportunity.
Yeah. It's in part because of the culture and the fabric of the way the company exists, and the fact that it's a global company where you get multivariate experience from different regions. You get to compare and contrast between different accounts. It's such a rich fabric to be able to even experiment around sales opportunity and collaboration. I know that collaboration is a huge part of what makes the sort of the solution sale within Nextracker special. Can you talk about what that looks like? The interoperability between sales and engineering and operations, even leadership.
Yeah, no, it's a technical sale. I mean, it is a highly technical sale, and the people that are driving the sale of the tracker understand all the levers they can pull. They understand the value proposition of the different offerings. You have an EPC value, you have an owner value. Yeah. You have to sell to both sides. So the collaboration is you may have different account reps managing the owner and the EPC. They have to work together. They have to make sure the combination of all the different product options we have really address the requirements of the EPC and the owner.
Right.
So, I mean, every job is customized to some degree. You have different modules, different string lengths, different regions. You have some regions you have the Hail Pro 75, some regions you have our terrain following tracker, some reason you have our new foundation technology. So I mean, they have to look at so many different options and bring them together in the right solution for that project.
You mentioned earlier that there's ample opportunity to rise. And I know that that's a key focus inside of Nextracker, is that opportunity to promote from within. Mm-hmm. I'd love to hear what separates the high performers who do rise.
The people that get after it. I mean, there's people that they work hard, they follow up with their customers, they engage their customers, they get after it. You can just see the people that are high performers, they understand the opportunity, they take it seriously. They see that this is one of those moments where they can do really well in their career. And again, those are the ones that respond, and it's great to see it. I mean, it's one of those moments you look at people and you go, you have so much more potential.
Yeah.
And you're just realizing a little bit of it right now.
Beautiful. Yeah. So speaking of potential and getting after it, part of the job that you've been given since you've done such a great job of managing the biz dev and the sales team, is M&A. And my goodness, you guys are on a tear. You're on a tear. Solar Foundations, Ojo, just announced Bentech.
Yeah.
My goodness. Like,
EBOS.
can you talk a bit about what excites you within the company about building this broader platform? Like, you're building this scaffolding that really doesn't exist right now in the industry as you've described it.
Yeah. I mean, as we become a solutions platform, it's just the natural extension is to move from the mechanical, the structure, the tracker, to the electrical. And then you start thinking about how those two things can be combined into a more synergistic combined solution. So, as we layer on additional products and services, I mean, there's inevitably going to be optimization that can happen between, just like we optimize every tracker to a site, there's going to be EBOS optimization that's going to happen on a site-by-site basis. Electrical balance of system.
There you go.
Basically, everything that goes from the panels back to the inverter.
Okay.
So they had called them harnesses. Harnesses are what attach the modules, and then the modules are combined into combiner boxes. And it's funny. There's so many. There's two major types of EBOS solutions.
Yeah.
There's the Shoals solution, which is a BLA.
Yeah.
There's what do you call a trunk bus IPC solution, and some people just do harnesses and combiner boxes.
Yeah.
At Nextracker, we're kind of agnostic. We're going to accommodate all types.
Right.
We're going to accommodate the harness to combiner solution. We're going to accommodate the harness to trunk bus solution with an IPC. So we see it as an opportunity to service the whole market versus trying to evangelize one is better than the other.
Got it. How do you integrate? Every company you buy has humans.
Yes.
Right? Those humans have their own, these companies had their own culture.
They do.
They had their own sales process.
Yeah.
Talk about how how you've been gone about integrating into the cultural and the commercial engine.
We definitely set expectations. I mean, I set expectations early. Like, this is the way we operate.
Yeah.
We're customer led.
Nextracker way.
There's the follow-ups, relentless follow-up.
Yeah.
And when you say follow-up, I mean, it's like you send an email, you have your action items, you follow up, and you make things happen internally, right? It's part of sales is not just an external sale, it's an internal sale.
Yeah.
It's getting stuff done internally on behalf of your customers. So when you have a meeting with Nextracker, there's follow-ups, and those follow-ups go out. So, I mean, it's just establishing that culture and expectation.
How do you know that those follow-ups are happening? You, the leader, how are you sure that your culture?
Can't always verify they're always happening. There's definitely a reinforcement whenever we get on the road and meet with a bunch of customers.
Yeah.
Have you sent your follow-ups? People know. It's kind of like update. The joke is you update your pipeline, you make sure you get your follow-ups out. Pipelines with dates in the past, that's a no-no. Not doing follow-ups is a no-no.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it with sales. Like, I have a meeting, even when someone comes to meet me as a candidate, they're not sending me an email follow-up. Like, that to me is a big, okay, you don't understand fundamental sales. Following up, engaging with your customer, that's such foundational stuff.
True.
If you don't do it, people are like, I don't know what we talked about. I don't even know what the actions are. And they forget about you. And that's the last thing you want. You want them to see that you're always reinforcing the message and following up.
I remember working in solar modules, and I'm very solution oriented. Not very I didn't like working in something that felt like I was at a commodity desk. Mm-hmm. It was very frustrating to me being at a solar panel manufacturer in an era where it was a drive to the bottom, and it felt like my customers wanted to tell me, that's great, Nico, but solar panels are a commodity. I can buy them from anybody, and it really only matters what your price is. For a long time, and especially with Nextracker and Sugar as at the lead, it felt like trackers could truly differentiate.
Yeah.
How do you help your sales team avoid that drive to the bottom, that short-term, that short-sighted sort of customer experience, and really focus on the long-term value sale?
Yeah, it starts with the leadership. I mean, they see that if you don't take on an expanded scope, if you stick with doing this one thing, let's just say it's trackers on top of a pier, right? You can get commoditized.
That's right.
If you take a tracker and you put in the foundations, you start tying stuff together, you have a customized solution with a lot of value. You know what I mean? It doesn't get commoditized. So you have to always be thinking ahead as to what you can do differently.
Yeah.
Like Hail Pro 75. People can do 75 degrees, but can they do the software and the hardware together very well? You get 2 or 3 years ahead. You're innovation in sales. Innovation is always staying a couple of years ahead. By the time our competitors have a lot of the products we're doing, we're already on the next thing.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it starts. And then the team, they got to go out and sell that value. So the leadership has to have the vision where we're going to go. That's always 2 to 3 years ahead. The sales team has to be able to execute and sell that value.
You've been at this for about 6 years now on the tracker specific piece of the market. How have you seen the buyer's evaluation of the product evolve over that time?
Trackers for a long time were at the discretion of the EPC. They were kind of able to pick and choose whoever they wanted to work with.
And to clarify, the EPC is typically chosen by the owner, and the owner is not necessarily choosing all the components, for those who don't understand that.
Yeah, so the EPC, they had a lot of discretion. I think as the industry matured, the owners got more involved in evaluating technology.
Yes.
So I would say the biggest shift was just the owners realized that the tracker is such a, Howard Wenger describes it as the skeletal system of the solar plant. Right?
Yeah.
And so it's just so fundamental to, if you can't operate 35 years in the future, like these systems need to be able to perform over a certain period of time.
Yeah.
So I think when people started really considering quality, reliability, and performance, the EPCs is just, it's a different paradigm. EPCs are more looking 2-year period, right? Yeah. Owners are thinking 35 years. So there's just a different perspective. And EPCs care about installation velocity, owners care about longevity. So again, it's more about both of those things being considered within the procurement dynamic. That evolved a lot versus just the EPC considering what option they thought was best at the time for them.
Now, I alluded to it earlier. You've been in the industry for a long time.
Yeah.
How'd you first get started?
So I got started, my dad actually got me into solar. So I was getting out of college. I graduated from UCSB. I think it was 2003.
Yeah.
And I had no idea what I wanted to do. And my dad had he basically been in renewable energy his whole career, mostly hydro and wind.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, I'm going to get in the solar business. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, like he's talking about residential solar.
Yeah.
And he'd been engaged with a company out of Washington State that was doing distribution of these basically integrated solutions. They sell the inverters, they'd sell the modules. We go out and sell it to, it's residential.
Yeah.
So I kind of cut my teeth in the residential space, and it was very humbling. Selling residential solar was a great experience. It was very humbling, going door to door. People thought it was hot water most of the time. They didn't even know what PV was.
Totally.
I mean, this is 2003, right?
Yeah.
You know, installed costs were over $10 a watt for residential. Wow. Panels were $450 a watt. The CPC had a rebate at $450 a watt. Yeah. I mean, it was a different world. So I did that for 3 or 4 years. And actually, during that time, and my dad was sort of, entrepreneurial, innovator. He knew some people that he's like, hey, we sold a 130 kilowatt system, and it was a rooftop commercial building.
Yeah.
And all the other solutions wanted to drill hundreds of holes in the roof. So he saw an opportunity to develop a non-penetrating mounting system, which at that time didn't have a name, but it turned into SunLink. So SunLink was started by my dad. And so I worked there for 4 or 5 years doing mostly operation execution.
Yeah, and SunLink, for those who are unfamiliar, was the first real ballasted.
Yes. Well, SunPower's power, it was a competitor to PowerGuard. So
Fair.
PowerGuard was like the first, it was flat,
truly
non-penetrating.
But it was like a completely different animal.
Totally different animal. It was SunPower's way to get into bids. They would basically say you have to have a non-penetrating requirement. Right. But there were other EPCs in the space that wanted the option. So you compete against SunPower.
That's right. Namely Cupertino.
Exactly. So we did a lot of non-penetrating mounting systems. It was kind of like the premise was kind of like a watch band. Everything was interconnected. That's why we called it SunLink. And you laid it on the roof, and the weight of the system would keep it on the ground. You'd have maybe some perimeter ballast. So that's how I originally got into being an OEM.
It's amazing, right? Because people who today get in the industry and they see like Panel Claw and all the other, they don't know the history of how this product evolved.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, and I will note that like, while SunLink in the US is like absolutely an innovator and novel, like this kind of technology was just evolving. Like people in Europe still hadn't really figured this out either, right?
Yeah, it's early. It was early days.
It was super early days.
Like no one knew how to look at it from a building code perspective. Like every job, you're like, you got to connect it somehow.
Nobody knew how to engineer it either.
They had no idea.
So you guys, I remember you guys had you had your own internal engineering team because nobody could figure it out.
We were doing a lot of wind tunnel testing of models, like not even full scale, doing our best, these little pressure taps to get coefficients of lift and drag. It was early days. It was definitely pioneering stuff.
What's it like seeing the industry essentially evolve into one that is like, I'm going to say like largely driven by trackers, right? A fixed tilt guy.
It makes me regret not developing a tracker earlier.
Because SunLink had a tracker, that's right.
Well, we tried. Yeah, we tried.
You guys had you had a very successful entry into the ground mount, the fixed ground mount.
We did a lot of fixed ground mount. We tried getting in the tracker space, got a little over our skis. And actually, the reason why the company went solvent was like they were spending so much capital trying to develop a tracker.
Right.
But they were also spread across rooftop and ground mount. They weren't really focused 100% on tracker. So that's how actually I met Dan Sugar.
Yeah.
The company was going through insolvency. He was considering the assets of SunLink.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not going to buy the assets, but I'll offer you a job. And that was 6 years ago. So
Amazing.
yeah.
How would you categorize or qualify the impact of trackers on the utility scale solar market?
I mean, it is pretty amazing when I just see the scale of what's going out there. The majority of the market being trackers.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought of that. You kind of look at fixed tilt, you're like, it makes a lot of sense.
And we were told it wasn't going to happen.
Wasn't going to happen. And
Too many moving parts.
Exactly. Too much operation and maintenance. It's unreliable. And, frankly, the performance benefits just outweigh the risks, and the maturity of the platform is such that people have high confidence.
Yeah.
And honestly, being dynamic is good. Like if you're in Texas, you don't want a fixed tilt system. You want to go to stow. Right? You want to go to your high angle stow.
Yeah.
If you're in snow regions, you want to be able to shed. There's a good reason to be dynamic and being able to move your tracker. And I feel
it actually just occurred to me that Hail Pro allows you for better snow shedding.
Better snow shedding as well. So in a lot of cases, wind stow, like just being able to move the array. And honestly, like you're providing energy in the late afternoon more when the utility needs it now.
Yeah.
So like the curve is shift. It's actually better to deliver energy in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So it has all these benefits. And I think that's why it hasn't been marginalized. And I've heard people say, well, module prices go down, there'll be less trackers.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
lay them
but
down flat.
You're still not going to address the fact you need to be able to respond to the environment.
Yeah.
And a fixed tilt system can't do anything. You can't respond to the environment. You're kind of stuck where you are, and you're kind of victim to what's happening around you.
Yeah.
At least the tracker, you can be responsive.
Speaking of responsive, one of the other things I remember, I have this image in my mind of Marco Garcia, the hat tip to Marco. I spent a lot of time in Latin America with him. And do you remember when Nextracker introduced the ability to invert the rows?
Yeah.
Nobody really had done the ability to invert them for one simple purpose. You can wash them a lot easier.
Yeah.
Right?
Unimpeded rows, right? That's our big thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I remember Marco, he would say, he sent me this video one day and he goes, "Can your tracker do this?" And so every time I see him now, I do this. And it's like an inside joke with
Marco's got lots of songs about trackers.
Not
Yeah.
bad.
So we have a sales summit every year, and Marco is proud that he develops these unique track with me and make some money songs. Like it's really great.
That's amazing. I need to get him to record one. Well, you've seen a lot of companies. I mean, you just mentioned SunLink going out of business. You've seen a lot of companies win and lose in this space. I'd love to hear what's a strategic mistake that you see solar companies making that holds them back from scaling?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, any startup, there's hard work, there's a little timing, there's innovation, and there's some luck, right? And I think, leadership is huge. You need to have that. But there is also just an element of you got to put it out there and you got to be focused on solving a problem, right? And really going out to the customers and understanding the problem. One of the mistakes I see is people say, "Hey, I got this great product. You should use it." And the person was like, "Well, I don't want that. You're not solving the problem I have," right?
Yeah.
And I think that's always you have to be really careful if you try to develop something in isolation without customer input. So when we develop stuff, we're always giving people a sneak peek. What do you think?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Like, hey, does this solve the problem? What do you think? Do you like this? Because you can't innovate in isolation.
Right.
Like it's an iterative process, and a lot of times,
coat method.
yeah, I mean, you just can't do that.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. So I think that's always something. Hey, just think you might have the best thing in the world, and you may think it solves all problems, but get it out there and get feedback.
When you're sitting down with a customer to sign a deal, what's one smart question they could be asking and usually aren't?
So I think big question is, now that we have this deep bench of product options, it's is this the right combined solution for the project? Have you really looked at the value of all these different solutions, different solutions? Like I said, the terrain following, the foundation options.
Yeah.
It's not just one piece anymore. It's a combined solution. A lot of times people want to take your product and be able to do apples to apples to another product.
Right.
And of course we're saying, look, you can try to do that, but now we're offering so many features that bring so much differentiation and so much value that you should just be considering the value associated with that, not comparing apples to apples. For the LCOE of the project or the install cost of the project, if it's an EPC, have you exercised all the value that you can bring?
Yeah, so it's really a question of now that I've decided I want to work with you, is there anything that I shouldn't have stripped out of the agreement because I'm sacrificing value? That's really the question.
I think that happens quite a bit.
Yeah, it does all the time.
There's still a big portion of the procurement people, they just want to strip it down to nothing.
Yes.
And say, hey, look, no, it needs to be the same as this other option. And you're like, you're overlooking so many benefits to your project.
That's right.
And you're kind of myopically focused on the wrong thing. So it's more education saying, look, there's a lot more that we can bring versus just this piece on top of 2 piles or whatever, how many piles there are, 10 piles in a row, which some people, they want to do it like that.
Yeah.
But that means you need to get the right people.
Can you tell me about a decision that you made that really pushed you out of your comfort zone, but you feel like it was really necessary to move the business forward?
I'm a pretty, so I've spent most of my career, I like to get in the details.
Yeah.
So moving into a role where you don't have time for all the details has been challenging, right? Where I can't really get into get into the estimator, understand the cost. And it's been a transition. So it's more moving into a leadership role where you're setting the tone for the team, but not so much understanding the details. So when issues come up, I'm not always calibrated, right? But I got to trust my team that they know I'm here to help them and enable them. Yeah. It's uncomfortable because you don't always have the answer.
How have you worked internally on that trust building process for yourself?
It's letting people run.
Yeah.
It's giving them comfort that they can make mistakes and come to you and they're not going to get their hands slapped. It's all it's supporting the team. It's like, I really feel my job is to enable them. Yeah. And I hope they feel the same way because I'm here to solve their problems, to make their job more efficient and more impactful.
You have kids, right?
I do. 3.
If your kids watch the highlight reel of your career someday, what's one moment that you hope they don't miss?
I mean, I've always felt very fortunate to be in my position, to be in this industry. I mean, I've always felt good about what I do. I know it's kind of cliche, but at the end of the day, I always feel when I go home, I'm doing the right thing, right? You're part of something that's having a positive impact. And I just hope they remember, I'd love for them to know, sort of understand my journey and how we went from basically no impact as an industry to massive impact. But just them understanding what it took to get between here and there was a lot of industry leaders like Howard Wenger, Dan Sugar. And I feel like I've been blessed with the opportunity to maybe follow them, to carry the baton, and to be an industry leader because I've been doing it for so long. I've been doing it 23 years, which sometimes I can't even believe.
It's amazing.
To see the scale of what we're doing today versus what we were, it feels good. And also sometimes I have to pinch myself, like how many gigawatts of solar are going in every day across the country. It's a great story. I have to tell the whole story because there was a low to that story, just like there is with most journeys. And I'm not going to say we're at a high. I think we can go higher, but I'm definitely enjoying the moment.
I want to pull a thread for a moment before we close on the low, because it wasn't just any business going insolvent. It was your family business. Can you, with dry eyes, talk about the impact to your family, your dad, like how you as a entrepreneurial family sort of overcame that struggle?
It was hard. It was definitely, it was a tough moment. At the time, my dad had effectively retired, but it didn't mean it didn't hurt any less to see something he started. Legacy. Exactly. It was something he put his heart and soul into. I mean, he started the company when he was in his early 60s, right? So he did a startup
a whole career
when most people are retiring. Which to me, I was like, it kind of blew me away. So
it also took years off his life, I'm sure.
But he also gave me this amazing opportunity. Like if he hadn't have pulled me into this, I don't know where I would have been. So I'm very grateful to him and everything he did to bring me into the space, to give me this opportunity. But it was also really hard. It affected me a little less because I was younger in my career. But for him, it was very difficult. And it was hard to see that because I wanted him to have that win.
Sure.
Right? Like, I just wanted him to have that flow out. And it didn't materialize. But at the same time, I think he feels good about where we're at as an industry. He loves hearing about Nextracker. It blows him away when he hears about how many gigawatts we're installing on an annual basis. And the scale of the market. So there's a good side to it. But no, it was bittersweet. But funny, out of that came an opportunity for me. Right? So out of the ashes comes opportunity.
And as a father, what better testament, what better legacy, right? The fact that even in that failure, he birthed the opportunity for you, his son, to be involved in what will be heralded as one of the greatest companies of our time.
Yes, it is true. And I should probably tell him that more often.
What will be different in 2035, 10 years from now, because Nextracker exists?
I mean, the big the big buzz right now is automation.
Yeah.
So when you consolidate into a more integrated system, you can consider automation in that context.
Yeah.
It's really hard when you have all these separate pieces to consider automation because the tracker is constantly evolving. Automation is trying to keep up. It needs to be considered together. I think there's consensus amongst most of the EPCs, like there's going to be a labor shortage to build as much solar as that's potentially going to go out there.
Yeah.
And field automation is going to become, I think, a very critical enablement piece for the future. So I think in 2035, you may see more of that in the field. You may see robots building solar to a larger degree. I think that's going to be a big piece of the puzzle.
And if you could leave one message with the next generation, call it, of clean energy leaders from your perch right now, as someone who's having an impact moving the dial, what would that be?
So within this industry, there's just tremendous opportunity. I mean, it's been thrilling for me to be able to work with the same people for 15 to 20 years.
Yeah.
And also, like, there's a huge demand for more people to come into space to support the growth that we see ahead, right? I mean, this is for the first time in 20 years, there's electricity demand. It's like double digits, but 2 to 3%, which is huge.
Yeah.
You've got electrification, you've got data centers. I mean, there's going to be so much more demand for what we provide as a product.
Yeah.
And therefore, there's going to be a lot more opportunity in this space.
Yeah. And what better place to set down roots than one of the preeminent solution manufacturers of the current sort of evolution of the energy sector, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we haven't coined it yet, but the Nextracker power system, the Nextracker power plant, as I mentioned the Cherry Street, like the Nextracker power plant is something that I expect we'll be talking about here soon. It's fascinating to see how you guys have been able to tie something as singularly simple and efficient as a tracker into the skeleton of the solar plant itself. My hat's off to not only you and the work that you're doing of not only Dan and Howard and the leadership team, but to you and the work that you're doing, giving guidance directly to the sales team and the biz dev team. Because ultimately, as we've explained over the last 50 plus minutes, all the product development in the world is a pile of scrap if it doesn't have good, knowledgeable, hands-on experience in the field, listening to the customer and telling them how to translate all of that economic development, all of that software, all of that innovation into how they want to deliver electrons to their customer. And I think that I've listened to a lot of conversations about how this comes together. It's rare that I feel like I get to transmit to our audience the world-class way that Nextracker's doing it. So thank you for that.
We're doing our best, so we can't do it. There's so much more to come.
Yeah.
And so we look forward to some of the announcements that will be pending. And maybe we can have a follow-on and talk about some of the other stuff.
We sure can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Jonathan, thank you so much for taking time to come on
Nico.
SunCast, man. It's a long time coming. I'm really happy.
That was great to see you.
Likewise.
Yeah. All right, brother.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah.